Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, darling.
Alex Martin was leaning over the small rustic door, watching the figure of her husband, who was walking away as she walked down the road in the direction of the town. Then he turned a corner and was out of sight, but Alex was still in the same position, absently smoothing a thick lock of brown hair that had fallen over his face with a lost and dreamy look. Alex Martin was not beautiful, not even pretty, strictly speaking, but her face, the face of a woman no longer in her first youth, was irradiated and softened to the point that her former colleagues from the old office days would hardly have recognized her. Miss Alex King had been a slender, professional-looking, slightly brusque, evidently capable and practical. Alice had graduated from a prestigious school for 15 years, from 18 to 337, of which she had also cared for her invalid mother. She had supported herself financially thanks to her work as a tachymechanographer. It was that hard and difficult life that had hardened the soft lines of her child's face. True, she had had a sort of romance with Dick Winford, a colleague of hers. Alex, from the bottom of his heart, had always known, without noticing, that he cared about her in front of society. They had been friends, nothing more. On his meager salary, Dick had found it difficult to keep his younger brother educated. I couldn't think of getting married at the moment. One day suddenly, the release from daily work came to the girl in the most unexpected way. A distant cousin had died, leaving Alex his money, a few £1,000s, enough to earn a couple of hundred a year. For Alex it was freedom, life, independence. Now she and Dick would have to wait no longer. However, when Alex imagined the future, she did so with the half certainty that she would one day be Dick's wife. They loved each other, or so she would have said, but they were both sensible people, with a lot of time ahead of them, no unnecessary haste. Time passed, but Dick reacted unexpectedly. She had never spoken directly of her love to Alex. Now she seemed less inclined to do so than he never avoided her. He became moody and dry. Alex quickly realized why. She had become a woman of means. Delicacy and pride got in the way of Dick asking her to be his wife. She liked him better than anyone, and in fact she was debating whether she should make the first move herself. When for the second time the unexpected came upon her, she met Gerald Martin at a friend's house. He fell fervently in love with her, and within a week they were engaged. Alex, who had always considered herself a girl who was not in love. Apparently he had to swallow his words without knowing it. She had found a way to make her former suitor, Dick Windyford, jealous. He had come to her stammering with rage and anger. "That man is a complete stranger to you. You don't know anything about him."
I know I love him.
"But how can you know in a week?"
It doesn't take 11 years for everyone to find out they're in love with a girl.
The face turns pale. "I have loved you since I met you. I thought you loved me too."
I thought so too, but that was because I didn't know it was love.
Then Dick burst into prayers, pleadings, even threats. Threats against the man who had supplanted him. It was surprising to Alex to see the volcano that existed beneath the reserved exterior of the man she thought she knew. His thoughts, too, had flashed back from that last meeting with Dick to this sunny morning as he leaned against the door of the cottage. She had been married for a month and was idyllically happy. However, in the momentary absence of her husband, who was everything to her, a hint of anxiety invaded her perfect happiness. And the cause of that anxiety was Dick Windyford. 3 times since he got married, he had the same dream. The setting varied, but the main facts were always the same. She saw her husband sitting dead and Dick Winford standing beside him, and she knew in her dream clearly and perfectly that it was Dick's hand that had dealt her the fatal blow. But as horrible as that was, there was something even more horrible. The horror was that upon waking it seemed perfectly natural and inevitable. She, Alex Martin, was glad that her husband was dead, extended grateful hands to the murderer, and even thanked him for the dream. It always ended the same way, with her hugging Dick Winderford. She had not told her husband about this dream, but it had secretly disturbed her more than she would like to admit. Was that a warning? A warning to watch out for Dick Winderford. Alex was jolted from her thoughts by the loud ringing of the telephone from inside the house. He went into the cabin and picked up the receiver. Suddenly she staggered and leaned a hand against the wall.
Who did you say you were?
Hey Alex, what's wrong with your voice? Almost, I don't recognize her, it's me, Dick.
Where are you?
In Traveler's Arts, that is the correct name. You do not or do not even know about the existence of the hostel in your town. I'm on vacation fishing a little around here. Do you mind if I visit you and your husband after dinner today?
No, you mustn't come.
Alex said abruptly. There was a pause, and Dick's voice, with a subtle alteration, spoke again. I'm sorry, I won't bother you again, he said formally. Alex intervened hastily, not wanting him to have noticed such a sudden change in her tone. Her nerves were betraying her.
Sorry, I meant we're busy tonight.
He explained, trying to make his voice sound as natural as possible.
Would you like to come over for dinner tomorrow night?
But Dick evidently noticed the lack of cordiality in his tone. Thank you very much, he said in the same formal voice. But it's most certain that I won't have a departure time tomorrow. It could be any time. It all depends on whether a friend of mine shows up or not. Goodbye. Alex paused, then added hastily in a different tone, I wish you the best, dear Alex. Alex hung up with a sense of relief.
You mustn't come here.
He repeated it.
You mustn't come here? Oh, silly. I'm imagining myself in a state like this. Anyway, I'm glad you're not coming.
He took a rustic rattan hat from a table and stepped out into the garden again, pausing to look at the name engraved on the porch of Philomel's cottage.
It's a very fancy name.
She had told Gerald once before she got married. He had laughed. Oh, my little city girl. I don't think you've ever heard of a nightingale. I'm glad you didn't. Nightingales should sing only for lovers. We'll listen to them together on a summer afternoon at the foot of our own house. Gerald replied affectionately, and when he remembered how Alex had actually heard them standing at the door of his house, he blushed. Fortunately, it was Gerald who found the cabin. Philomel had arrived with Alex flat with emotion. He had found a perfect place for them, unique, a jewel, the opportunity of a lifetime. And when Alex saw it, she was captivated too. It was true that the location was somewhat isolated. They were just over 2 miles from the nearest town, but the cabin itself was so explicit with its rustic, ancient appearance and its solid comfort in terms of bathrooms, hot water system, electric light and telephone that she was immediately delighted. However, there was a problem. The owner, a rich man who had built the cabin to his liking, refused to rent it. I would only accept one purchase. Gerald Martin, although he had a good income, could not touch his capital. I could raise at most 1,000 LB. The owner asked for 3,000, but Alex, who had put his heart into the place, came to the rescue. His own capital. It was a quick and attractive option, since it could be forgiven with bearer bonds. She would contribute half of the purchase of the house. Then the Philomel cabin became his choice. It was true that servants avoided working in rural solitude. In fact, at that time the couple had none. But Alex, who due to his need in his youth had not dedicated much to domestic work, enjoyed very much cooking small delicate meals and taking care of the house. The garden, magnificently furnished with flowers, was tended by an old man from the village who came twice a week. Turning the corner of the house, Alex was surprised to see the old gardener in question, busy with the flower beds. She was surprised because her working days were Monday and Friday, and that day was Wednesday.
Why did you come today, George?
She asked as she approached him. The old man straightened up, laughing, and touched the brim of an old cap.
I thought you'd be surprised, ma'am, but you are. On Friday there will be a party at the Esquire Inn, and I said to myself that I don't think Mr. Martin and his adorable wife will see it wrong that for just one occasion I come Wednesday instead of Friday.
You're right, there's no problem.
Alex said,
I hope you enjoy the party.
"Don't doubt it,"
It will be so.
George said simply.
It's nice to be able to eat your fill and know all the time that it's not one. Who's gonna pay for it? The Squire Inn has a property for its tenants. Besides, it also occurred to me that my lady, who might also see you and say goodbye to you before you go for a walk into town, will it be my lady, that you know approximately when your return to this cabin will be?
But I'm not going anywhere.
George stared at her.
You're going to London tomorrow, aren't you?
Where did you get that idea?
Yo soy la guardiana de las sombras.
Y yo el narrador fantasma. Te invitamos a suscribirte y a que mires estos otros videos.
No olvides activar la campana para no perderte ninguno de nuestros relatos. Y si te ha gustado, comparte con tus amigos.
Esperamos que tus noches sean un viaje a lo desconocido y tus sueños un eco de nuestras historias.